Why do we pray? The natural answer is that we pray because Jesus taught us to, and that would be correct. But let me rephrase the question. What do you believe happens when we pray? As a mainstream Christian, I believed prayer allowed God to override natural law. According to this view, an answered prayer could only be answered if something miraculous happened. If you could explain it as a coincidence or natural cause, it was no longer an answer to prayer. What if I changed my perspective and instead of dividing the world into supernatural, natural causes, and coincidences, I chose to see God in every aspect of life? For instance, if I needed healing, and instead of being healed by a supernatural miracle, I was healed by science and medicine because God answered my prayer. Or if I needed financial help, and instead of money supernaturally appearing on my dresser, a friend borrowed me that money because God answered my prayer. My Christian knee-jerk reaction is that it is wrong to believe God can choose to answer prayer through medicine, doctors, and friends. It has to be a miracle for God to answer prayer, because how else can people believe? In the Bible, everything that happened in Jesus' ministry was a miracle that science could not explain. So it is only natural that the same thing has to happen today. A miracle can only be a miracle if science can't explain it. But wait for a minute. When Jesus lived, nobody divided the world into natural causes, coincidence and science, and supernatural. Everything back then was either willed by God to it, willed by God, or allowed by God. So now I see something important. My way of thinking that it has to be a miracle stems from my culture and time and has nothing to do with the Bible. To say it in another way, I am making a classical error when reading my worldview from 2024 into the worldview of Jesus, Paul, and the apostles. Instead, it has to be the other way around. I must accept their worldview to understand the Bible. In their worldview, Jehovah is in everything. Therefore, everything that happens is either allowed by him or willed by him. So, to transfer their worldview to 2024, God could answer a prayer for healing with a miracle, or it could be answered with a doctor and medical science. A prayer for finances could be answered with a miracle, or it could be answered by a friend borrowing you the money. In both cases, it would only happen because Jehovah heard your prayer and chose to respond through other people instead of giving you a miracle. This is both very challenging and very liberating. It isn't easy because most of us born in the Western world are so accustomed to segregating our worldview into sections that don't overlap. But we can let go of our limited worldview in favor of the biblical. In that case, it is very liberating and comforting because we know everything happening to and around us happens because God is in everything. After all, God is in everything. And if he chooses to use people or natural law to answer our prayer, we should be just as grateful to him as if he had chosen to give us a miracle. If I make this change, it will also affect how I pray. I'm not telling Jehovah how to save me. I'm just asking him to help me out with whatever I need. However, it is totally up to him whenever he wants to do it. He might perform a miracle or decide to work through natural laws or the people around me. When I stop worrying about how he'll save me, trusting he will is much easier. How am I able to trust he will save me? Because he has promised to save everyone who lives according to the Torah.